Live and direct, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of Leadership Live right here on the Los Angeles Tribune Television Network. And I'm so excited, Dr. Natalie Forrest, because today we have a very unique episode of the show. Today's episode is really more of a crossover episode where two different communities are coming together. Of course, many folks in this community remember last year we did something very similar, very special with the remarkable Top Talent JV community, which is a community of incredible, like-minded entrepreneurs that are actively making a difference, not only in their businesses, but for the world at large. And that is such a valuable thing that the world needs, especially today. And so before we bring in the CEO who's going to help be our co-host for the day, Dr. Natalie Forrest, I just want to give you the floor so you can chime in on just how excited you are for our community for today's remarkable show.
Well, I'm excited because, like you said, last year we did something similar. And I think the combined impact of the top JV talent and the amazing experts and visionaries that we have in the talent and how it comes together is just exciting in a world where we really need more collaboration. We need more coming together without the constant competition. So us bringing everybody together again, thanks to David Fagan, I think is just awesome. And it is one of the things that is much, much needed.
You're absolutely right. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to formally start with David Fagan right here on Leadership Live.
Welcome to the Los Angeles Tribune page. Here you will find original news programming, exclusive digital events, and shows that are directly from the community. At the Los Angeles Tribune, we believe in giving a voice to the voiceless. We are proud to be the only national brand to empower everyday people to make a difference. Since 1886, our reputation has been built on truth and responsibility. Thank you for watching and making a difference.
For general inquiries, contact today. Thank you on behalf of the Los Angeles Tribune team.
And you know, Natalie, we're ready now to bring in David Fagan, who's going to talk with us and talk with this community about the work that's being done. And David, welcome to the show. I'm so excited and honored to have you here with us. And, you know, you've been doing this for quite some time. You know, you're not a rookie. If this was the NFL, you would be one of the veterans where the rookies that get drafted would try to talk to you in the locker room and say, hey, you know, can I pick your brain for a second? Can you show me how, you know, the proper way to catch this football? And so one thing that the entrepreneurial community knows about you, David, is that you have done so many different things to help so many different people. I think one of your superpowers is versatility in business. You're one of the most versatile and agile people in the field of marketing. Most people know you as the CEO of Guerrilla Marketing. And those of us that have a background in business or in marketing know that that's really sort of, and I know this is a overused kind of a metaphor or a way to put it, but it's sort of like the chicken soup for the soul of the marketing world. We're talking tens and tens of millions of books published. Every time I go to a used bookstore, I see different, you know, guerrilla marketing books in the business section. It's all over the planet. And you really were, the CEO of what I would call essentially the headquarters of business and marketing. And so you've now transitioned into your own different business, your own different empire, and it's very unique what you're doing. So we want to give you the floor, David, to talk a little bit about just some of the things you're proudest of that you've been able to do now with the Top Talent JV community that I know you're doing today. So we'll go ahead and unmute your mic and give you the floor to just chime in and share what really are you proudest of that you've been able to do separate from guerrilla marketing just the last couple of years with your current community. Please, David Fagan.
Thank you, Mo, and thank you, Natalie. Yeah, this is something that we do every couple months. We have a top talent JV mastermind. JV just meaning joint venture. As common as that is for us, you know, sometimes we forget that there's a lot of people out there that don't really still quite understand joint venture or masterminding or what that really means. And it can be a little bit surprising, but nowadays there is a massive need and benefit for the ability to not just connect, but to collaborate and to create with other people. Now, just as this is very important, there are some people that go a little too far. You can't joint venture everything, right? You can't joint venture and pay your house payment or pay the utilities or car payment. Somebody does need to pay you something, right? So there is a line and there is a balance and there is an art to joint venturing and partnering and masterminding and bartering and getting creative and thinking outside the box. But this should just be one aspect of your business. And I guess in answer to your question, what I'm most proud about, I am proud that we've created such a community of successful individuals. These are speakers, public speakers, best-selling authors. These are show hosts, people that have their own radio show or podcast or TV show. These are event producers, people that aren't just speaking at events, but they're putting on their own events. So we throw around the word influencer probably a little too much, but these are very influential people who have a lot of credibility. And not only are they getting exposure, but they have their own platforms to create exposure for others. So when people come into our community, what's happening here is somebody saying, hey, I got a magazine. You got an event. I'll put you in my magazine. Why don't you have me speak at your event? Or, hey, you got a big following. Why don't you send an email to your list and I'll have you on Facebook Live and I'll interview you over here. Or, hey, I've got something on Clubhouse over here. Why don't I bring you into Clubhouse? You got a good following on LinkedIn. But it's just this kind of process of, where's your exposure? Where's your platform? What if I did this for you and you did this for me? And you're creating these win-win opportunities. And I'm very proud of how fast that's grown. So we've got 100 to 200 people on every day for the next couple of days. And we're actually getting off that online Zoom platform and kind of coming over here on Facebook and Roku and, to kind of head up and meet up with the Los Angeles Tribune and everything you guys are doing. And I know that there are some big aspects to the paper, but I love the fact that some of the decision makers like you, Mo, are so passionate about self-improvement and so passionate about personal development. And it's that passion and support that we appreciate, so much. I don't know of a lot of other news media outlets that are kind of raising their hands and saying, hey, we see value in what the speakers and authors and, servant leaders are doing out there and supporting them and sponsoring them and giving them a voice. So thank you guys for being a part of the community, a champion of the community, a sponsorship of the community. We don't take that lightly. And we're very thankful that me and, some of the other people in the community can come on here and have panels and have conversations about leadership and entrepreneurship and media and publicity. It's a good time for all.
Well, thank you so much for that, David. And indeed, the team here is of a lot of like-minded individuals that are heart-centered leaders that believe in a simple principle, and that's to lead by example. And so we want other media organizations to also start embracing these kind of communities, because there's a ripple effect that the world needs, and it's up to each individual to make that happen. And with that, David, you mentioned influencer, and you mentioned people that are known around the world. We're lucky because today we want to have a few minutes with you and one of the world's top beauty influencers. She's an incredible entrepreneur in so many different ways. Natalie, can you talk a little bit about Shalini, like Melanie, I should say, and just the impact that she's been making very briefly before we bring her in, because we want to have a conversation with David Fagan, who's one of the world's foremost experts in marketing, and her. Please, Natalie. And let's make sure you are. Go ahead, Natalie.
Oh, there we are. You muted me. Okay. Shalini Madera is one of the most amazing women that I've met. I met her, I believe, a year and a half ago, actually, through you and through the Los Angeles Tribune. And she's already been highly successful before that. Now she has switched and her focus is on women. And what she has done is she has opened up, for example, investing for women at very low levels so that women can benefit from the idea of investing in a startup, investing in a company. And what she has now been working on, and which is very exciting, is the Ready, Set, Jet company, which is launching all across the globe. And she is in India, she's in South America, she's in Europe, and people are just flocking, literally flocking to this venture because it is so innovative. It combines development, self-development, of course, but also a little bit of entertainment. And then the idea of really allowing people to evolve through education, for women to have their own businesses. And the idea that beauty starts within. And, when we're talking also, of course, with David and others, it's always believing in yourself and coming from yourself and then moving forward with that. So I just feel, I don't know what to say. I feel blessed to know her because of how much impact and how much positivity she is creating for women, regardless of where they are and regardless of how much money they have right now.
Absolutely. And that's such an incredible example of what we were talking about, which is, of course, that ripple effect. And so we're going to go ahead and bring her on. And there's a lot of folks that are watching this either live or after the fact that are in various different stages of their careers. And so some of the folks are a little more experienced, a little more established. And then there's a category of folks that we would call aspiring entrepreneurs. Maybe they have a day job, but maybe, as Jim Rohn used to say, spend your days working for a living, spend your nights and weekends working for your fortune. And so there's a lot of folks also in that category. And we really want to hear from some experts specifically to start the conversation, speaking to that demographic. I mean, not everyone is an investor like Shalini, or not everyone is helping make dreams come true by writing them a check and saying, hey, go pursue your endeavor. And so I think this is a great opportunity to have two folks that have accomplished so much, have a conversation together and kind of pick each other's brains. And Natalie, hopefully you can moderate for the next few minutes, just so we can have some of the nuggets and the golden nuggets that they have learned and that they have accumulated, passed on to the community. So with that being said, I want to just kick it off a little bit. Shalini, please go ahead and take the floor and share a little bit about what you're proudest of that you've accomplished so far, especially the last couple of years, and what is really the mission of this endeavor to invest in female entrepreneurs. Please, Shalini.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to see you, Mo, and Dr. Natalie Forrest. I absolutely love and adore you, and thank you for being such a champion for what I'm trying to do by using beauty as a vehicle for change. But I think, Mo, for me, I started as an entrepreneur at the age of 19. I grew up in San Diego. My father gave me a plane ticket and sent me off to India and told me to start my own company. And, I had a lot of trials and tribulations. I mean, this is probably my fourth brand that I've created. I, faced a lot of gender bias, sexual harassment, not enough mentorship or resources for women. And it was really important for me, for this brand specifically, to make sure that no other women had to really face some of the ridiculous downs that I had to when it came to building their own businesses, by creating a community globally of women where we could really help each other with needs and leads. And also by understanding throughout my career and writing my book, Passport to Beauty, and traveling the world and meeting women, no matter what their socioeconomic status was, is knowing that beauty was a universal language that every woman spoke. And when it came time to create a brand with impact, it made the most sense to create another beauty brand that we could scale globally, but bring together an incredible group of women and, change the world in essence. And so I'm really proud to say, this brand has been a very intentional build. We're 95% female funded. When I launched this brand, I knew that it was going to be a little bit difficult. Women don't have that risk appetite. A lot of women don't know how to invest. A lot of women can't afford to invest. And so we've done it in a very disruptive way by holding fundraising soirees, teaching women how to invest. Initially, our ticket size was at a normal point for, investing in a beauty brand, excuse me. But after the pandemic, what I realized was that there was everyday women like me, actually, that didn't really know a lot about how to start investing, or didn't have enough money, or didn't have that risk appetite. And that's when, I went to Chuck Pettited, the CEO at Republic, and I said, can we create a crowdfunding campaign with the new regulations from the SEC where any woman anywhere in the world can invest as little as $100 to be an owner of a global beauty brand. And we did it. We ran a 70-day crowdfunding campaign. We raised from over, I think, 200 women. And what was really inspiring for me was to see, we got absolute best-in-class investors all over the world, but we got women who had never made an investment, who were single mothers, who were in abusive relationships, who have written to me now and said, just by giving me the title of investor to put on my LinkedIn, you have completely changed my life, Shalini. I've now been able to attract a global clientele for my coaching business, or I've been able to do different things that I might not have otherwise had access to. And so for me, this brand is really about creating a level playing field for women, no matter where they are. The reason I even launched Ready, Set, Jet in the beginning was in late 2017, I received the Mahatma Gandhi Award at the British House of Lords for my work in beauty and women empowerment through my women's platform, Power Beauty Living, which we launched in 2016 at the United Nations. And shortly thereafter, I had happened to take a trip to India after 10 years, and there was quite a few government officials waiting for me at my hotel. And they said, look, we really, really need your help to create some impact for these underserved girls. And that's when I decided, let's create a brand. And not only can you ready, set, jet around the world, all my brands are based on travel and really celebrating the diversity of the world and different cultures, but you can ready, set, jet into your future. So why not take part of those proceeds and start skilling and vocationally training underserved girls that don't have access to that, to help break that cycle of poverty in some of these slums and villages. But when the pandemic hit, is really when I realized that the impact was so much broader than these girls sitting in these slums and villages, that everyday women were, suffering with mental health, wanting a side hustle because they knew they had to make more money, wanting to take their lives and their financial security to the next level. And that's really when we built out the Ready, Set, Jet Academy, launched the crowdfunding campaign. And we are truly, truly a community-driven brand. And it is just, for me, being, this is my fourth brand, it is inspiring and fascinating to watch how this ecosystem has developed on a global level.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And, Shalini, it is inspiring. And for those that may not know, I'm so glad you mentioned you are a recipient of the Mahatma Gandhi Award, which is the official award given by that organization. And there's only a handful of folks in the world that have been recognized by such a prestigious title. And, it's recognized by the United Nations, and you're making such a global impact, not only as an entrepreneur, but also using entrepreneurship to set a positive example as a human being, as a humanitarian, as a philanthropist. Thought-centered leadership, which is also what I know Top Talent JV is all about. And David, I want to give you the floor so you can also share a little bit more about, first of all, what your thoughts are on what we all just heard from Shalini like Melanie, and also just how excited you are about bringing these communities together of like-minded global thought leaders, people that are impacting at the UN level. Please, David.
For the matchmaking, you might not realize this, but me and Mo, we're in the matchmaking business, right? And we all are nowadays. And so, I'm introducing you guys to new people that are listening right now from our community. And it's all about the connection of the communities in the circle. So I had actually heard, about I was going to say Shalini, like it's Italian. I want to make your name really Italian, but like Melanie.
Shalini.
Shalini. There you go. You should be happy I just did that, because now everybody knows your name really well right now.
Yes, thank you, David. I appreciate that.
But, Mo's bringing us together here, and there's communities, and I always kind of picture that Venn diagram where the circles overlap, and maybe we know some of the same people, but, now we're going to be knowing a lot more of the same people. But for everybody that's listening right now, this is what we want, and what is getting tapped into here is people no longer just spend money. They want to know where that money's going. They want to know what the cause is behind it. They want to know what those people believe in. And if you don't know that, the whole world is witnessing that with Russia and Ukraine. Everybody that has ties with Russia, or almost everybody that has ties with Russia, a lot of people you're seeing, hey, we don't want to send money here anymore. And I'm not here to have a political debate. I want you to realize that the people vote with their dollars. They tell you what they love with how they spend money. And they also tell you what they love with who they want to support. And people want to support more individuals like them, don't they, Shalini? I mean, you're finding all these people that, you know, they want to spend money, invest money, crowdfund money. They want to purchase. They want to know where that's going. They want to know what you're about and what you support. And there's a lot of people just like us that want to give to people just like us, isn't there?
100%. And I think, you know, we have now entered the you know, time of the savvy consumer. You know, if you look at the Gen Zs, they are the activist generation. They're not going to just purchase a product just to purchase a product. And, you know, part of my career, you know, I had my first brand in Sephora, QVC, Victoria's Secret, second brand, you know, direct to consumer. But I was also on the side creating brands for a lot of influencers and Paramount Studios and a lot of Hollywood studios. And, you know, even myself as a product formula and brand creator, like, it was so uninspiring to just put another eyeshadow palette out on the market. You know, there has to be more. And I think what we all went through with COVID and just the state of the world, like, there's a lot of us that at this point, at least in my life and the women who we have attracted into this brand, we want to do something about fixing things. You know, we want to make the world a better place. We want to help our fellow women. I mean, we named our first product we launched a beauty baton. And the reason we named it a baton is I want more women to pass the baton to each other. We can't win if we're trying to do this on our own and then competing with each other, competition over collaboration, right? So I do believe, you know, 100%, David, you're spot on. There's so much happening that we want to put our money where our values are now. Yeah. And that could be through the ingredients we choose, you know, going with clean ingredients. That could go with sustainability on climate. That could be going to, you know, empowering another human being or helping, you know, these Ukrainian families. I mean, whatever the case is, we want our money to matter.
Yeah. Yeah. We want our money to matter. I love that a lot. We've got some other people that I'm going to bring on today. And I want you to get to know them. They might want to have you speak. There are other people who put on events. Other people have communities and following. But the whole idea is, you know, these 3 C's we use: connect, collaborate, and create. We want to connect together and collaborate together and hopefully create some things together. But there's some great women and men, but especially women that's a part of this community that are putting on events that they want to know, you know, people like you and what they're doing and kind of learn from that. And there is a certain synergy that's happening. One of the books that we recently did was called Women Gone Wild, The Fearless Guide to Feminine Living, right? The Feminine Guide to Fearless Living. Let's switch that. The Feminine Guide to Fearless Living. But Women Gone Wild, right? And it's just this idea that, you know, people are sick of the status quo. You know, they want to do their own thing, their own way, kind of be uncaged, uncensored, you know, and just go out and just lead from their heart, right? And that's what we're seeing right now is people being able to support, you know, others. But I actually saw you or got exposure to you through the Los Angeles Tribune. And everybody who's listening, the reason why I'm pointing this out is you never know where that's going to come from. You got to kind of be everywhere, you know, and get that exposure and get that influence. There's actually something that's happening right now that I'm going to explain kind of when we go back into our top talent community here. We're putting on an event and we've kind of suspended the event to join this Los Angeles Tribune conversation that we're really excited about. But there's a secret that I'm going to tease you guys with that you don't even know what's happening right here. And I'm going to explain it more in detail when we get back.
But I agree with you, David. You know, as far as like using your influence, and everyone has influence, right? And in some capacity, that's why I've never been a macro influencer person. I've been a micro influencer. If you tell one person, one is greater than 0. But, you know, it's really, really important. I remember I started my celebrity makeup artist career on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. And then Hollywood Squares, I don't know if you remember that show, was shooting right down at the next studio. And I went over there and I ended up getting a job on there. And that's when Henry Winkler, the Fonz, had taken over as executive producer. By the way, best job of my life. Can't believe I ever got paid to do that because it was so much fun. But it was at the time where I was going on television and starting to talk about beauty and, you know, multicultural beauty. And he said, "What do you want?" And I said, "I want a book. I want a brand." You know, I was so young. And he said, "Let me give you the best piece of advice. Tell everyone, everywhere you can about your mission, your impact, your business as much as you can, because you never know who's watching and who's listening and how they can help you.
Yeah, perfect. So what's the one thing that people could do for you right now? If they're listening to you, how would they connect with you? How could they get involved with you? What's your next big thing?
Yeah, well, readysetjetofficial.com is where you can, as a woman, you will love the beauty batons. We literally have taken your entire routine down to 5 minutes. It's Zoom beauty. You just did it and go. But the part of the proceeds of the products goes to the skilling and vocational training of these girls overseas. In addition to that, we're getting ready to launch the Ready Set Jet Academy, where now I'm using my network and my resources of phenomenal women all over the world that have hit the unicorn status or know how to create productivity through whatever mindfulness, all of that. We're bringing all these amazing online courses, Ready Set Jet experiences, retreats, as well as everything you need to know on how to build your brand, how to invest as an angel. All these things are going to be at the ReadySetJetAcademy.com, so you can sign up for that. And of course, you can always connect with me on Instagram. I'm a big Instagrammer, influencer at Shalini Madera.
Okay, so we got to slow that down a little bit here. So ReadySetJet.com.
ReadySetJetOfficial.com.
Oh wow, it's a long one. Okay, so somebody type that out in the comments for us here as well here, and write all that down. And there's a Ready Set Jet Official, and that's a Facebook group as well.
We have a Facebook group, but I guess I should give it out to everybody. It's
well, really I just saw the Los Angeles Tribune just put that in there in the link there for you as well.
Join. We have a lot of women that invested in our company that are so proud of their investment. They flipped and become our best ambassadors, and I can't thank them enough. So we do a lot with them on Facebook.
Yeah. So we're going to make a cash pledge to your organization as well as a resource pledge to your organization. So we'll talk later about what that's going to look like, but it'll be at least 3 figures in money, and it'll also be at least 4 figures in value. And we'll talk about who we can help. Do you have some people in your group that could use the top talent help? Do you have anybody that needs some help with publishing, publicity, show production?
Always. Yeah. Okay. Yes, David. And, even like I tell everyone, no matter where you are in your career, in your life, like we can always learn. I'll be a part of it too, because I think you're awesome.
Yeah. So let's find somebody that is worthy in your community, that is looking for that angel investor, that is looking for that kind of help or support. And let's do that together. But you're going to hold me to that. You're going to chase me down. You're going to find me. Okay.
I will, David. And then you're going to get that.
Okay, y'all heard it on here. We're gonna make it happen, but I want to reward the relationship with that. And we've got some amazing people in our group as well. We've done water projects in Kenya. We've done stuff in villages in Bangladesh. Camille Robb is doing some amazing stuff all around the world. The list goes on and on. Ray Perez and Camille Robb, both. We just got them in the USA Today about giving to grow. We just got them featured in the whole thing, and it's spotlighting the ways in which they're giving back. So this is not new to us, and we look forward to kind of adding you to that community.
I would love that. Thank you. And any woman and men, because we can't do this without men. We've got amazing men backing what we're doing as well, that truly believe in wanting to see change for women and the opportunities out there. So, we're also very happy to support your community, in any capacity as well, David.
Yeah, great.
And this is such an incredible moment and an incredible example. And this is why we love doing these crossover programs where it becomes a blend. And that moment that was just shared with the audience was not scripted, and it was 100% natural, 100% organic. And I want to congratulate you, Shalini, for that pledge that you just received from the top talent community. And wow, I'm thinking about all of the women that are going to be impacted, not only financially, but perhaps even more importantly, what it does mentally and spiritually for somebody when they know, hey, we believe in you, right? We believe in you. We want you to pursue your endeavor, pursue your dream, and we're putting our money where our mouth is. Whether it's 1,000, 1,000,000, 100, it's the point is we believe in you. So pursue your endeavor, pursue your dream, and we never know what happens when we continue to be that ripple that the world needs. And so we're going to go ahead and bring in a couple more people. David, we're going to bring in Robert Evans. And of course, we're also going to bring in Carolyn Cooper. And Natalie and I will kind of sit back because you guys are doing such a great job organically having this conversation. So we're going to go ahead and have David kind of help run it. And let's go ahead and bring in Robert and Carolyn. Welcome to the program. Let's start with you, Robert. Just how inspired have you been so far with this conversation, and share a little bit about the work that you're doing to make this world a better place. Robert Evans, please.
Oh, I'm very inspiring. Shalini, you're such a huge inspiration for me, because before I started the business that I'm in now, that's helping, experts and, and messengers, as I like to call them, like yourself, get their message out into the world. I had a company where I took entrepreneurs around the world to places like Liberia, Africa, and Ecuador, and Costa Rica, and we brought them. We did humanitarian work, and we did a variety of different things that had an impact there. And watching these entrepreneurs go through that experience and seeing the transformation that they went through while they saw the impact, even in just teaching their message, because it wasn't just bringing water filters, for example, to areas, but we brought messages. We brought, these personal development, ideas to communities that had never heard them before. Was probably the most rewarding, 5 years of my life that I did this. So I'm just so inspired by what you do. It was just really great to watch you there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Robert. I have to say too, I think we win more when we give, right? Even though this is a purpose to profit business, we still have to make our investors happy and give all these women who made their investment a nice return. But the purpose behind it is unbelievably rewarding. And just to see the smiles and the ability to change someone's life is just, I just have nothing more I can say, because I'm speechless at just what it gives back to me in my heart more than anything else.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Robert, thank you for sharing that sentiment. I think it's a sentiment so many people watching share. Let's go ahead now to Carolyn. Carolyn, we want to give you the floor. Share a little bit about how you felt so far about this conversation that you've been privy to, and a little bit about the work you're doing to make this world a better place. Carolyn, please.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you for the opportunity here. Shalini, I spent 15 years in the beauty industry. I understand the industry, and really what you're doing is going to impact people far beyond what you even can conceive. So I just commend you. And you mentioned one phrase. You said, lead from the heart to support. And that's what we do at the Grand Connection. We lead from our heart. Susan Jarima and I come from over 55 years of teaching and supporting and educating businesses around the world. And we have come together. We were at the Grand Canyon looking on March 15th, 2020. And we looked at each other and went, we can't sit back here. We have to create a community of support and education and help these businesses around the world. And that's what we've done. It's grown in the last 2 years in such a rapid exponential. It has created our calling, our mission, and our vision. Shalini, I had a vision of women, sitting on dirt floors that have internet in India to be able to learn the business skills they need to be successful in business. And we have been so blessed with this concept that we hold called grand giving. And it's everything with our conversation and where we're going here. This is incredible because the world is shifting and changing. It really is about serving and supporting each other to be successful first. So give and then receive. So we bring in the world's best speakers. We have an event on March 17th that David Fagan's going to be presenting at. And the Grand Connection has, thousands of entrepreneurs from 35 different countries. And we are so blessed to serve them with mastermind breakout rooms, master classes. And I invite everybody to come to the event on March 17th at grandconnection.ca from 11 a.m. Pacific until 1. Thank you.
Carolyn, you're a woman after my own heart. I just have to give you like a big whoop whoop from over here because you're doing such important work. I mean, I remember when I launched my first brand, there was nothing out there for women. There was no resources. There was no guidance. There was no, help me look at this contract. How do I get myself out there? And what you're doing is such incredibly important work. And there are so many women that need it. And you know what's funny? I was just in India last August, September. We went into 4 different states, and I went into the poorest slum in Bangalore to work with the first 25 girls to ever graduate from high school. And, you know, they were exactly what you said that you had a vision of, you know, these girls that were living in slums, but somehow had Instagram and Snapchat and, you know, had all the filters it takes out. And I'm like, wow, you know, they're following Anastasia and all the same brands I'm following. And the only difference is where they're living. And I told these girls, I said, we're really the same in one sense. Maybe my house was different when I was growing up, but I'm self-taught and I'm self-made, and you can be too, with the right people that can guide you. So congratulations. And by the way, I'm heading to Phoenix tomorrow, and I might be moving there, so I'll have to come visit you.
That's amazing. And, you know, I think it's apropos at this point to bring you in, Dr. Natalie Forrest, because one thing that I'm very proud of, and I know the team at the Los Angeles Tribune is very proud of, is the work that we do in an official capacity for women leadership and women's entrepreneurship. We've hosted multiple events specifically centered around women's entrepreneurship. We've had speakers like Lisa Nichols and Sharon Lecter work with us on those endeavors. And I want to give you the floor, Dr. Natalie Forrest, just so you could briefly talk about what we recently sponsored and supported with the International Women's Day and the collaboration of the Los Angeles Tribune with the International Women's Day and with that official organization. Please, Dr. Natalie, go ahead and share a little bit of that so people know the work you're doing, because much of that is done, I would say about 80% of the work that we do in that field is because of Dr. Natalie Forrest. So I want to take a second to highlight the work she does with our organization to collaborate and partner with all these incredible things happening around the world. Dr. Natalie, please. Let's go ahead and unmute you first, though. Okay. Go ahead.
There we go.
Please.
We're both hitting the same button. That's called collaboration, right? So I am just thrilled because, and I got to throw it sort of back at you, Mo, because you're such an advocate for what is happening in the world. And so we've put on 2 big events that were women focused. Whenever I say, look, there's something happening over here that's focused on women, on women's empowerment, I just get the go ahead. And so right now, in addition to planning another event, in addition to, of course, working with lots of women across the globe, it is also important because of International Women's Day that the Los Angeles Tribune is a strategic partner for internationalwomensday.org. And this is actually, there are a number of organizations celebrating, honoring that. And one of the things that has popped out at me is that a lot of them work on break the bias, which I believe is important. Now, the organization that we're strategic partners with, internationalwomensday.org, which is the first and the official one, that actually is focused on Together We Thrive, which is a little bit of a different spin. And it's not about, you know, let's look at our differences. It's about coming together. And we've had the first part of the celebration this past Saturday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And of course, tomorrow is the official 111th anniversary of the celebration. And we're going to be live again all day tomorrow, actually, thanks to the Los Angeles Tribune on StreamYard. And we've had altogether, I think we have about 40 speakers, experts. We've had panels. Tomorrow, I just want to point out one of my favorites and a dear friend of the Los Angeles Tribune, Dame Marie Diamond, is also going to come live to the event. You know, of course, virtually live, but she'll be there as well, talking about empowering women. And I think it's just important that we use all of our creative forces to empower those who just need a little bit of a hand up. And like we all said already, just have somebody believe in them.
Absolutely. And so I want to thank you for that, Dr. Natalie. And, you know, we're excited to, just like we mentioned in the beginning of this program, lead by example. And my hope is that in 5 years, we're not the only media organization that does the work that we do in the leadership space. You know, it's not about us, it's about we as a global community. I want to see, and we want to see other media organizations step up. And if we need to be kind of the first to do it, then so be it. And thanks to our partnership with people like David Fagan, that's possible. And so I want to just give you the floor a little bit, David, so you can chime in, and then we'll bring in a couple more folks to add to this panel so we can spend the next 15, 20 minutes or so and just talking about the impact that we're making generally to make the world a better place. David, please, just your thoughts.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the one hand up, one hand down, right? We got the one hand up, you know, come on, mentors, come on, advisors, you know, pull me up. But we can't forget that one hand down too, you know, where we're also kind of pulling somebody up, you know, as well. And, you know, where much is given, much is expected. One of the many expressions that are out there around this kind of, you know, space, very valuable, right? And so we've been very blessed. Many of you guys have met and know our friend Frank Song, a client, a friend, you know, featured in Forbes. We're working on a book with him and a script with Netflix and Amazon, people bidding on it, kind of the story of his life. A guy that went from Walmart to Wall Street, right? He was spending the night at Walmart during high school and getting himself through and got into a big school and made it all the way to Wall Street. And, you know, you guys have heard us interview him. You've heard the Los Angeles Tribune interview him. I don't know how many of you guys know this, but, you know, he's been in the Ukraine for years now. And we've been talking, you know, all these things coming. What's going on? What are you doing? You know, do you take it seriously? Well, all of that became, you know, very real lately. And, you know, he had to move to the Western version of Ukraine. And then he literally had to take people and flee the Ukraine and take them to, you know, Poland. And, you know, he made an interesting comment yesterday. You know, the only difference between many of us here and many of the people there is luck. And maybe I'll turn that into the word blessed, right? Some of us here are upset at the gas prices. Well, you know, it could be a lot worse. You could be sleeping on concrete. You could be looking for a home. You could be walking to another country hoping that they accept you. And look, I don't want to get on a soapbox here or anything like that. I just want to remind us that there's plenty of reasons out there for us to not just have the one hand up. We need those mentors. We need people like the Tribune. We need top talent. We need these communities. But where's your hand down? And you might only have, you know, that one other hand, right? We got two hands here. So you may not be able to help everybody all the time. But, you know, where is that hand down? And sometimes for women, it is helping that other woman up. Sometimes it is helping other people up. But we want that because it balances us. And I think there's a certain number of people in our life. There's probably these key individuals. And this is a whole nother talk and a whole nother presentation, Mo, so I won't get too deep into this, but we need that sidekick, you know, we need that partner. We need that mentor up above us, right? We also need that person that's the apprentice. I can't tell you how much I learn when I'm helping somebody because they ask me questions and they challenge me. They say, oh, David, I didn't get that. Oh, man, I'm not making this simple enough. It's too complex. Hey, David, what would really help me is if you had a way to explain this, or if you had a way to help somebody do this. Oh, man, I never thought of that before. My business probably gets better. My organization probably gets better more often because of the people I'm helping who are challenging me and telling me what I'm missing than sometimes the people above me that are experts. They're amazing. They're great. They're mentors. But sometimes because they're the people above me, they may not always see what I need, right? So one hand up, one hand down. You got it probably better than you think that you do, as we all know. And there's a lot of people out there that would like to be you. So that's my hot take for the day.
Thank you for sharing that, David. And I do think that you know, it leads me to one very important word, and that word is gratitude. And so I think that the world always needs more gratitude, and every individual needs to be more grateful. What would the world look like if everyone woke up with a sense of gratitude? I think the world would be a much better place if everyone woke up in the state of mind of being grateful. And you're absolutely right, David. Now, I charge my car at the Tesla Superstation, so I don't worry about gas, but I still feel the pain that some people feel, right? And with that being said, I want to go ahead and bring in a couple more women entrepreneurs,
Yes, please.
because we're going to wrap this up here in the next 10 minutes. But there's a couple folks here that I think we need to highlight for sure. Of course, Cheryl, who's been
Cheryl.
Cheryl, it's like a big party here now. And Cheryl, who many folks in this community know because she's been a guest a couple times in the past year. Adora, who folks in this community know. Of course, Adora Evans is an executive producer, best-selling author. She's worked with some of the biggest organizations in the self-help world. She was involved behind the scenes in the film The Secret. She's working with the Napoleon Hill Foundation and does so many things in that space. We're excited to have you here, Adora and Cheryl. And we're going to wrap up here in about 10 minutes. But I want to first just give the two of you the floor a little bit so we can chime in so you guys can chime in on this conversation. And we'll start with you, Cheryl. I know you've been watching this, and we just want to hear your general thoughts on what's been inspiring you so far. Please, Cheryl.
Well, I just wanted to jump off of what you just said about gratitude. It's something that's been top of mind for me, obviously, with the world events that are going on. And I think that it's putting things into perspective. You know, we all want to, grow and expand and grow our businesses, but let's also keep in mind that if we start with gratitude, that, it may well just be, putting that goodwill out there, and that's always going to come back to you. I have found that over the course of my career, both professionally as a broadcaster, but even now as a marketer, that's always been the best policy, right? And I know David Fagan with the top talent community, it's all about service first. That has never been a bad policy, in my opinion. So I think it's doing more of the same. And like you said, David, reaching that hand down and finding ways that we can support others is probably the best thing that we could do.
Thank you for that, Cheryl. And one thing about you is you have a background in many different fields, but it's particularly media and broadcasting. And I want you to talk a little bit about the impact that media makes on the way that human beings perceive the world. Part of the thing that we're proud of is we want to sort of counterbalance a lot of the negativity because, the information that people consume and what people perceive as news is how they see the world. And so that's part of our mission here, is to counterbalance a lot of the fear and negativity and have people think about the concept of gratitude like we just did a few moments ago. And so I want you, as a professional broadcaster, as someone that's worked with mainstream news organizations, what is the role that you want to see media have in the world, on the world today? Please, Cheryl.
Well, I think, Mo, what it is taking the broadcasting, point of view is that we need to take an unbiased approach to information gathering and assimilation and distribution, right? I think it's all about the unbiased approach. But further to that, I think it's also from the perspective of the people who are consuming media. And there is a place, I believe, for shoring up people's ability to be able to be critical thinkers, to be able to really take information and then say, okay, what is my opinion about this? But I don't know that this is necessarily something that you can fix in a day. It's something, I think, generational. There's something to be said for helping others and maybe our younger generation to become more, be able to think critically about the information that they're gathering from various media sources, including the Los Angeles Tribune, right? To be able to say, hey, what is my opinion about this, as opposed to being, I guess, influenced by maybe more biased media outlets, to be able to say, how can I think for myself? But as a journalist and as a broadcaster for many, many years, I just like to take that approach. Just like, let's see both sides of the coin. Let's put the information out there and then let people decipher from it what they will.
I think that's very important, Cheryl, is to remember to always see both sides of the coin, whether it's politics or whether it's life in general, right? Empathy and putting ourselves in other people's shoes. Such an important part of life that I'm so glad you were able to highlight. Now we're going to give the floor to Adora, and then each speaker will be able to share their closing thoughts briefly before we wrap up here in the next 5-6 minutes or so. But Adora, please, I know that you've been listening to this whole conversation. You have a best-selling book that is centered around women leadership. So we want to give you the floor and just hear your general thoughts that you've been taking in. Please, Adora Evans.
Well, Mo, just thank you for your stance in the community. You continue to bring the most incredible people together. And as I was listening to each of you, I relate so much. And David Fagan on our last event introduced us to so many thought leaders and is a leader of leaders. So, David, it's always a pleasure to see you. I'm participating in your event. Please stop, Adora. No more promo. Yeah, and Shalini, Shalini, like Melanie. Did I say it right? Awesome.
You did. Thank you.
I know. You know, I just felt so much in what you were saying. Like Mo said, I'm a stand for women, but I also worked in the fashion industry for a lot of years with a designer that dressed Prince his entire career. An actress friend, Elaine Hendricks, we worked with women beauty inside out. And you know, women, we love beauty and there's a reason that we do, but using that as a vehicle and a connection point to gather women and then elevate them in the ways that you are. I'm so excited to know more about, you know, what you're up to and just connection in general. I mean, what is happening right here? I think women do quite naturally. So it's so nice to be in a space with men. Like, women naturally are a stand for connecting communities, connecting children, connecting families, connecting resources, and powerful men like the men here that are a stand for let's have some really high level conversations that actually shift economies, families, relationships, you know, sense of adventure and living dream lives, whatever you want to look at, that happens in community. It happens in collaboration. It happens in relationship. And so it's always a privilege to be here. And I thoroughly am looking forward to getting to know each of you a little bit more. And if you're watching and you're not, and you take anything away, make sure you go follow each of the people here, pay attention to what they're doing, and then look at like, where do I need to be more connected? What resource do I need? What mentor do I need? And where do I need to give? Where do I need to mentor someone else? Because there are some things that you've likely learned that someone is tossing and turning, wondering how to figure that out. And when you give that, like David said, you're going to be elevated. But then what community do you need to be in so that you can also be elevated, be connected, be expanded? Thank you, Mo.
Well, thank you so much for that, Adora. And we always appreciate you chiming in. And people in the virtual auditorium are saying how much they love David. And so this is why I have to be careful, because David comes and steals my thunder. So we can only do this once or twice a year, David. But with that being said, we want to kick the floor back to Robert. Speaking of Hollywood Squares, Shalini, you know, he's taking the place of Whoopi Goldberg right now. So Robert, you've been patient. Yeah, I think right now I'm sitting where Gilbert Gottfried used to sit, which is cool. So Robert, please go ahead and share your thoughts. You've been patiently waiting and just taking things in, and then we'll have every speaker give their closing thoughts before we wrap up the program. Please, Robert.
Well, it's an honor being among this amazing group of people here. And Mo, the work you guys are doing at the Tribune is truly inspiring, bringing truth and positivity out into the world. You know, what I do now, being in, you know, in the impact business for the last 22 years, is helping people reach more people. And we do that through mobile apps. And I kind of fell into this world because I was trying to answer two questions in order to bring my positive message out into the world. Where are people spending their time and where are they engaging the most? And as I started to explore that and started to look at the reality of the technology that's available to us, it's available to us literally at our fingertips and these devices that we hold in our hands nowadays. And just the stats around these phones that we hold, the power, the reach that they have is just astronomical as far as our ability to be able to impact people. For example, 6.6 billion smartphone users exist in the world today. And within the next couple years, they're expecting that to reach over 7 billion. That's 84% of the world population are on phones connecting with people. And this is not only is it a lifeline to the world to get information that's important to all of us, but it's our lifeline as transformational leaders, as messengers, as experts. It's our line to people that don't have access to a computer. Like when I was in Africa, in the outer villages, there was 1 or 2 computers for all the villages, but then we would go out to the actual, little villages, and people will walk up to us with their smartphones asking for our Facebook profile. So I think it's important for us to nowadays to really identify where people are spending their time so that we can go there and put in front of them our ideas, our messages, our the things that we know will change their lives and shift the energy of the world. And that's the opportunity that we have here as and that's what we help experts do, is get into those mobile devices on their own apps without it costing them an insane amount of money, and really creating the change that they'd like to create in the world.
Thank you so much, Robert Evans. Are you a brother? Are you the brother of Adora Evans, by the way? I didn't know you guys were. Are you guys related or what?
In spirit, 100%.
Yes. Okay, yes, got it. No, but going to your point, I mean, Shalini was talking about how in India she was doing different humanitarian and philanthropy endeavors in the slums and people in poverty, children in poverty. We're on Instagram and we're following the same brands that she's following. I mean, we live in a world where information can no longer be an excuse. I mean, it's a fact that a child in poverty in India on a smartphone has more access to information than Ronald Reagan did when he was president of the United States at their fingertips. I mean, think about that. And so information is no longer an excuse for anything. The question is, what can we do to raise consciousness, collaboration, and action? And so with that being said, we want to give the floor to Carolyn so she can share her final thoughts. Carolyn, please.
Well, thank you, Mo, and thank you for this extraordinary opportunity to really connect and influence people who are watching this. I was always told as a child, Carolyn, the world is not your oyster, but people, it is right now. We have this extraordinary opportunity right now as a business owner, as a business leader, as a business influencer, to really connect, create opportunities with each other and collaborate. So, we have at the Grand Connection more than 35 countries of businesses that are coming together to build meaningful relationships. And the support is out there. So the second piece is I know that when COVID hit, a lot of businesses felt very alone. That's why we started the Grand Connection. But there is communities out there that care, that want to support you, whatever you're weak in or you have limitations in. It is available to you to learn, to grow, and also to come together with people that have strengths in those areas. So, people, don't do it alone. Find a community that's your home, that you can get the resources, the people, and collaborate together by creating an atmosphere and a purpose of grand giving. So I just invite everybody to come to thegrandconnection.ca. I'm putting in a link for a free event on March 17th with David and Richard Kay, and the CEO Space September, the CEO of CEO Space, is going to be speaking. So please come and just experience our community. I guarantee you will be inspired and you'll learn so much. Thank you.
Thank you for that. We certainly appreciate it. And we're going to go ahead and wrap up just in a few minutes. Just a quick reminder, if you are watching this and you're part of the community that David has put together, let's see here. I believe you left a comment here, David, but can you please just go ahead and take a second and direct them and give them instructions, because we know that there's a lot of folks watching this live that are part of that community. So as we wrap up, we want to make sure that they know what to do. So David, we're going to give you the floor to, first of all, just share your final closing statements, and then please also direct the audience on what to do next. David Fagan, please.
So many of you guys are attending our Top Talent JV Mastermind event. It's on Zoom. You guys were on that Zoom call before. You're just going to go back to that. It's the same link it was before. So if you want to continue the conversation, you want to do more of this panel, you want to see more spotlights and interviews, just like what we're doing here with Los Angeles Tribune, you're just going to get back on that. So it's Top Talent JV is how people registered. Some of you guys haven't even registered yet. You want to get on that, you can get on there registered. But to bypass all of that, just go straight to the link. It's toptalentmeeting.com, toptalentmeeting.com. So we'll continue to share that in the comments. Thank you, Mo. I'll let you keep giving everybody a chance to wrap up here. You've been very kind with the time, and I know we're going a little bit over.
Thank you, David. And with that being said, if you are part of that community, toptalentmeeting.com will bring you back in there. And let's go ahead now and give the closing thoughts to Shalini. Shalini, I mean, you have really done such a remarkable job of inspiring all the folks here and being one of our spotlight audience members and spotlight speakers, and everyone's so inspired by you. So we want to give you the floor and hear your closing thoughts, please.
Well, thank you so much, Mo. Again, you and Natalie are doing such amazing things by putting out such phenomenal, positive, inspiring content to the world. That's so important. So thank you so much for having me here today. And I am truly inspired by everyone on this panel today. Everyone's doing amazing things. And it really, as a solo founder and an entrepreneur, sometimes you feel very alone. And especially when a mission is so much bigger than you. And it always brings me back to my center when I see there are so many amazing people like everyone on this show today that have that shared vision to do something that's going to create impact and truly and positively impact the world in an amazing way. So thank you, all of you. And I'm going to leave with, two things: collaboration over competition. That's the only way we're going to get ahead and really, really create significant change. And going back to something that David said earlier, with one hand down and one hand up, I truly believe in mutual mentorship. We can all learn from each other and grow together. And I'm really excited to see how we rise and create amazing things out there in the world. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Shalini. And just a final closing statement. Part of the reason that we are so excited and we endorse and we're proud of our collaboration with the Top Talent JV community, David and Isabel Fagan, is because there are a lot of organizations that do networking. There are a lot of business networking organizations. There are a lot of marketing experts. There's not a shortage of folks that call themselves experts in that community, but very few are conscious thought leaders that believe in integrity and stand by their word 100%, which is why we're so honored to collaborate with Top Talent JV, David Fagan, because he's led by example for a number of years. Going back to how we opened up the show, he's not a rookie and he's proven himself. He's won a few Super Bowls. He's gotten a few championships. And so anyone that is in business or anyone that wants to make a difference on this planet, you want to work with winners. Adora Evans and myself are honored to be able to actually be in the process of writing a book with Dennis Waitley, who's many people know from the Psychology of Winning program. And so working alongside him, and I know Natalie's also involved in lots of things behind the scenes we're doing in that world as well. You want to be a winner and you want to work with winners. And if you're in business, you want to win. And so work with folks like David Fagan, work with folks like the Top Talent JV community, the leaders of that community, not only so we can win, but so we can help others win. If you're not winning, if your cup is not full, you can't fill anyone else's cup. And so I'm going to pop in the toptalentmeeting.com and spend as much time as I can after we go off the program here. And with that being said, I want to thank all of our lovely thought leaders for joining. I want to thank everyone in the virtual auditorium. And until next time, keep the faith.
Thanks.
Welcome to the Los Angeles Tribune page. Here you will find original news programming, exclusive digital events, and shows that are directly from the community. At the Los Angeles Tribune, we believe in giving a voice to the voiceless. We are proud to be the only national brand to empower everyday people to make a difference. Since 1886, our reputation has been built on truth and responsibility. Thank you for watching and making a difference.
For general inquiries, contact today. Thank you on behalf of the Los Angeles Tribune team.